Captain Dae-yun Kim stood in the center of the largest room he had ever seen. The walls stretched up so high that he could barely see the ceiling. Everything was made of a material that looked like crystal, but shifted colors every few seconds. Around him, in circular rows that climbed toward the distant ceiling, sat representatives from hundreds of alien species. Some of them looked like floating clouds of gas. Others appeared to be made of living rock. One creature near the front seemed to be pure light contained in a geometric shape. Dae-yun had trained for this moment for 3 years, but nothing could have prepared him for the reality of standing before the Galactic Council. Behind him, Minji Park stood quietly with her hands folded. She was Earth's xenobiologist and had studied every piece of information about alien species that humanity had gathered. Her job was to make sure Dae-yun didn't accidentally insult anyone or break some unknown cultural rule. At the highest point in the chamber sat Ambassador Vel, the council leader. Vel looked like a massive crystal formation with lights moving inside it. When it spoke, the words appeared directly in Dae-yun's mind rather than through sound. Captain Kim of Earth, Vel's voice echoed in his thoughts. You have requested membership in the Galactic Council. This is a significant request. Your species has only recently achieved faster-than-light travel. Most species wait centuries before approaching us. Dae-yun cleared his throat. We understand that we're newcomers, Ambassador, but humanity has always believed in cooperation and learning from others. We have much to learn from the galactic community, and we hope we might have something to offer in return. A rippling sound moved through the chamber. It took Dae-yun a moment to realize it was laughter. Not cruel laughter, but the kind that suggested the aliens found something amusing. Counselor Reef, a being that looked like purple smoke in a glass container, spoke up. And what exactly does humanity believe it can offer us? Your technology is primitive. Your ships are slow. Your weapons are laughable. Your mathematics are basic. What possible value could you bring to civilizations that have existed for millions of years? Dae-yun felt heat rise in his chest, but he kept his voice calm. We may not have advanced technology, but we have fresh perspectives. Sometimes an outside view can solve problems that have existed too long. We're also located in a strategically useful part of the galaxy, near several trade routes. Strategic location? Another counselor spoke up, this one resembling a collection of metal spheres rotating around each other. Your system contains one unremarkable star and a handful of planets. There's nothing special about your location. Minji touched Dae-yun's elbow gently, a reminder to stay diplomatic. He took a breath. Perhaps you're right, Dae-yun said. But humanity didn't travel across the galaxy just to be rejected without a fair hearing. We're willing to prove our worth. Give us a chance to show what we can do. Ambassador Vel seemed to consider this. Very well. Tell us about your world. What resources does Earth possess? What makes your planet suitable for life? Dae-yun relaxed slightly. This was a question he could answer easily. Earth is a Class M planet in what we call the habitable zone. It has a nitrogen-oxygen atmosphere suitable for carbon-based life. The surface temperature ranges from very cold at the poles to quite warm at the equator. We have diverse ecosystems, from frozen tundras to hot deserts. Standard, Reith commented dismissively. Millions of planets have similar conditions. Earth also has significant mineral deposits, Dae-yun continued. Iron, copper, gold, rare earth elements. We have forests that produce oxygen and regulate the climate. And of course, we have abundant water. Our planet is about 71% covered by oceans. The effect was immediate and startling. Every being in the chamber went completely still. The constant movement of the gaseous counselors stopped. The rotating spheres froze in place. Even the lights inside Ambassador Vel dimmed and then brightened intensely. Dae-yun looked at Minji, confused. Had he said something wrong? Her expression was equally puzzled. Captain Kim, Ambassador Vel's voice was different now, urgent and intense. Please repeat your last statement. About the minerals? Dayun asked. No. About water. Oh, yes. Earth has a lot of water. About 71% of the surface is covered by oceans. We also have lakes, rivers, and polar ice caps. Water is everywhere on our planet. It falls from the sky as rain. It's essential for all life on Earth. The chamber erupted into chaos. Beings that had been sitting shot to their feet or floated upward. Voices in hundreds of languages filled the air, though Dayon's translator device could only catch fragments. Impossible. Liquid water? An entire ocean? They must be lying. 71% coverage? Ambassador Vel's voice cut through the noise like a blade. Silence. The chamber went quiet immediately. Captain Kim, Vel said slowly, are you telling this council that your planet has naturally occurring liquid water on its surface? Not underground. Not manufactured. Natural liquid water? Dayan was completely lost now. Yes, that's correct. Is there something wrong with that? Minji stepped forward. Ambassador, forgive me for interrupting, but Captain Kim and I are clearly missing something important. Why is water significant? Another long silence filled the chamber. Then Ambassador Vel spoke, and Dayan heard something in its voice that he hadn't heard before. Fear. Because, Dr. Park, water is the rarest substance in the known galaxy. In the 847 civilizations represented in this chamber, not a single one exists on a water-rich world. Water is so rare that most species have only encountered it in laboratory settings. A single liter of water is worth more than your entire solar system's mineral wealth. Dayan's mind reeled. He thought about the Pacific Ocean, the Atlantic, the Indian Ocean, the Antarctic ice sheets, the Great Lakes, the Amazon River, all that water, trillions and trillions of liters. But that's impossible, he said weakly. Water is just hydrogen and oxygen. They're two of the most common elements in the universe. Common individually, Vel replied. Combined in stable liquid form? That has never been observed in nature until now. Captain Kim, if what you're saying is true, Earth is the most valuable planet in the entire galaxy. Minji grabbed Dayan's arm. Her face had gone pale. Dayan, she whispered. We need to contact Earth. Right now. Ambassador Vel raised one crystalline appendage. This council is now in emergency session. Captain Kim, Dr. Park, you will remain here. We must verify your claims immediately. If you're telling the truth, everything has changed. Counselor Reith's voice drifted across the chamber, cold and calculating. And if they're telling the truth, then Earth has just become the most sought-after prize in galactic history. Dayan looked at the hundreds of alien beings staring at him. Some with wonder, some with hunger, some with what could only be described as greed. He had come here hoping to make friends and find Earth's place among the stars. Instead, he realized with growing horror, he might have just doomed his entire planet. The conference room aboard the Earth, Vessel Horizon's Edge, had never been designed to hold this many beings. Dayon watched as alien after alien materialized through the ship's teleportation system. Some walked through the door. Others simply appeared in flashes of light. Within minutes, the room was packed with representatives from the Galactic Council, all demanding to see proof of Earth's water dot. Commander Hyunwoo Kang stood by the door, his hand resting on his weapon. He looked tense, and Dayon couldn't blame him. Their small ship was now filled with beings who possessed technology centuries beyond human understanding. If any of them decided to take what they wanted by force, there would be nothing the crew could do to stop them. Please, everyone, calm down Minji said, raising her hands. "We understand your urgency, but we need some order here." Ambassador Vel entered last, moving with deliberate grace. "Dr. Park is correct. We will proceed methodically. Captain Kim, please present your evidence." Dae-yun nodded to Dr. Ji-won Choi, the ship's chemist. She had been standing quietly in the corner, looking bewildered by the entire situation. She stepped forward, carrying a simple glass container filled with clear liquid. "This is water," Ji-won said, holding it up. H2O, 2 hydrogen atoms bonded to 1 oxygen atom. It's in liquid form because we keep the ship at a temperature comfortable for humans, which happens to be within water's liquid range. She placed the glass on the table. Every alien in the room leaned forward, their attention fixed on the container with an intensity that made Dae-yun uncomfortable. "May I?" asked Scholar Tyne, an elderly being that resembled a walking tree with crystalline leaves. It was one of the oldest species in the galaxy, Dae-yun had been told, existing for over 10 million years. Ji-won nodded. "Of course." Scholar Tyne approached the glass slowly, almost reverently. It extended a thin branch-like appendage and touched the glass's surface. A sound emerged from Tyne, something between a gasp and a musical note. "It's real," Tyne whispered. "Actual water. Stable. Pure. I never thought I would witness this in my lifetime. But why is it so rare?" Minji asked. Captain Kim made a good point earlier. Hydrogen and oxygen are common. Why doesn't water form naturally throughout the galaxy? Scholar Tyne turned toward her. That is precisely the mystery that has puzzled scientists for eons. Hydrogen and oxygen should combine easily, but they don't. Not in the way needed to create stable liquid water. The scholar moved to a display panel and began showing images. You see, water requires very specific conditions. The temperature must be just right. The pressure must be exact. The atmospheric composition must be perfect. But even more than that, water has properties that make it almost impossibly rare. Images of molecular structures appeared on the screen. Water is what we call a universal solvent. It can dissolve more substances than any other liquid. This makes it incredibly unstable in natural conditions. It reacts with nearly everything it touches. In most planetary environments, water would immediately break down or combine with other elements. Ji-won was nodding along. That's true. Water is extremely reactive. On Earth, we have it in such abundance that we forget how unusual it is. There's more, Scholar Tyne continued. Water expands when it freezes. This is almost unique among substances. Most liquids contract when they solidify. This expansion would tear apart most planetary structures. Water also has an incredibly high surface tension. It can climb up walls, defying gravity. It has a high specific heat, meaning it resists temperature changes. All of these properties together make water an incredibly complex and unstable substance. Counselor Reith floated closer to the glass. And yet you claim your entire planet is covered in this substance. 71% of the surface, Dae-yun confirmed. The oceans alone contain about 1.3 billion trillion liters. The number seemed to stun the room into silence. Finally, Ambassador Val spoke. That much water represents more wealth than the combined treasuries of every civilization in this chamber. Captain Kim, do you understand what you've told us? Dae-yun was beginning to understand. You want our water, want? A harsh voice came from the back of the room. A being that looked like an insect covered in metal plates pushed forward. Your primitive species is sitting on a resource that could save dying civilizations across the galaxy. This isn't about want. This is about need. Minji stepped between the insectoid alien and Dae-yun. Earth's water belongs to Earth. We're willing to discuss trade, but there will be no taking. The alien's mandibles clicked in what might have been laughter. Trade? Your weapons cannot harm us. Your shields cannot stop us. What makes you think you have any negotiating power? Hyanwu's hand moved to his weapon, but Dayan put a hand on his shoulder. Violence would solve nothing here, because destroying Earth to take the water would contaminate it, Scholartine said quietly. Water absorbs everything around it. A military assault would render the water useless. It would mix with debris, radiation, and chemicals. It would become poison rather than the pure substance we need. Ambassador Vell nodded. Scholartine is correct. Any attempt to take Earth's water by force would destroy its value. This is why water has remained theoretical for so long. Even if it existed, extracting it would be nearly impossible without cooperation from the native population. Then we negotiate, said another counselor, this one resembling a cloud of silver particles. Name your price, humans. What do you want in exchange for your water? Daeun looked at Minji, then at Jiwan. They hadn't been authorized to make any deals. They were just a first contact team, sent to introduce humanity to the galaxy. Now they were being asked to negotiate over the most valuable resource in known space. We need time, Dayan said. We need to contact our government and discuss this properly. Time is something we may not have, Ambassador Vell said grimly. Captain Kim, you must understand the situation. 3 of the most aggressive military powers in the galaxy were present when you made your announcement. They have left the council chamber. They are not bound by council law. Right now, their fleets are likely preparing to move toward Earth. Minji's face went white. How long do we have? With their fastest ships? Vell calculated. Perhaps 3 of your days? Maybe 4. That's not enough time, Jiwan protested. Which is why you must return to Earth immediately, Vell said. And you must help your people understand what's coming. Armies don't approach Earth because they want to conquer you. They're coming because your planet represents survival for billions of beings. They're coming because water is life itself, and you have an ocean of it. Dayan felt the weight of responsibility crushing down on him. He had left Earth as an explorer, hoping to make friends among the stars. Now he was rushing home to warn his planet that they were about to become the most attacked world in the galaxy. There must be something we can do, he said desperately. Scholartine approached him, its crystalline leaves chiming softly. There is one possibility. An old law written in the earliest days of the Council, the Ancient Accords. They state that any world with unique life-giving properties is protected. But the ancients who wrote those laws have been silent for thousands of years. No one knows if they still exist, or if they would answer a call for help. But they might, Minji asked. They might, Tyne confirmed. But even if they do answer, it could take time. Time that Earth doesn't have. Daeun looked at the glass of water sitting on the table. Something so simple, so ordinary to him. Life-giving liquid that he drank every day without thought. And now that simple substance was going to bring war to his world. We need to go, he said to his crew. Now, Earth needs to prepare, and we need to pray that these ancients exist and that they care about one small blue planet on the edge of the galaxy. As the aliens filed out of the conference room, Dayan picked up the glass of water. He took a sip, feeling the cool liquid slide down his throat. Tomorrow, this simple act might be something that beings across the galaxy would pay anything to experience. Today, it was just a drink of water. He wondered if he'd ever be able to take that for granted again. The emergency session of Earth's United Nations had been going for 6 hours straight. President Taiji Nam sat at the head of the table, listening to yet another military advisor explain why Earth's defenses were completely inadequate. Admiral Su Yang Li had her head in her hands, clearly exhausted from repeating the same message over and over. I'll say it again, Admiral Li said, her voice hoarse. We have 37 combat-capable spacecraft. The smallest fleet heading toward us has over 300 ships. Their shields can withstand nuclear weapons. Their weapons can crack a planet in half. We cannot win military confrontation. Then what do you suggest? Asked the Russian representative. That we simply surrender our oceans? We don't surrender anything, President Nam said firmly. But we need to be smart about this. Captain Kim, you've spent time with these aliens. What do they really want? Daeyeon stood to address the assembly. He had arrived back on Earth only 2 hours ago and hadn't slept in over 30 hours. But there was no time for rest. They want to survive, he said. Scholar Tyne showed me data. There are civilizations out there dying because they lack resources that water could provide. This isn't about greed for most of them. It's about desperation. That doesn't make an invasion acceptable, said the Chinese ambassador. No, it doesn't, Ninji agreed from her seat beside Daeyeon. But it gives us leverage. If they need the water intact and unpolluted, they can't just blast their way to it. They need us to cooperate. Jiwan, who had been working with Earth's top scientists since returning, spoke up. I've been running calculations with my colleagues. Even if an aggressive faction takes Earth by force, extracting water would require infrastructure, pumping stations, purification systems, transport vessels. All of that requires human cooperation, or at least human knowledge. They could force us, but that's messy and inefficient. So we negotiate, President Nam said, but from a position of weakness. They could kill millions of us and still have enough humans left to operate their water extraction facilities. The room fell silent at that grim assessment. Finally, Sun-Ho, Yoon, Earth's youngest diplomat, spoke from the corner. What if we make Earth valuable to everyone, not just to the aggressive factions? All eyes turned to him. Explain, President Nam said. Sun-Ho stood, his youth making him look out of place among the older officials. But his voice was confident. Right now, Earth is valuable to anyone who can take it. But what if we offer water to many different civilizations? If multiple factions have a stake in Earth's safety, they'll protect us from each other. Admiral Lee sat up straighter. A protection coalition. Exactly, Sun-Ho said. We offer annual water shipments to any civilization that signs a mutual defense pact with Earth. If someone attacks us, they're not just fighting Earth's small fleet. They're fighting every faction that has an interest in keeping the water flowing. Daeyeon felt a surge of hope. That could work. We make Earth more valuable alive and free than conquered and occupied. But how much water would we have to promise? Asked the Brazilian representative. We can't drain our oceans. Jiwan pulled up her calculations on the main screen. The oceans contain approximately 1.3 billion trillion liters of water. The water cycle on Earth is self-sustaining. Rain replenishes rivers and oceans constantly. We could safely export 1 million liters per year for thousands of years without impacting Earth's ecosystem. 1 million liters? The Indian ambassador looked skeptical. Is that enough to win? To them, 1 million liters is an unimaginable fortune, Minji said. Remember, most of them have never seen water outside a laboratory. A single liter could fund a planetary economy. 1 million liters divided among, say, 50 civilizations would give each of them 20,000 liters annually. That's enough to revolutionize their technology and medicine. President Nam looked at Admiral Lee. Would this strategy work militarily? The admiral considered. If we could get 20 or 30 civilizations to sign defense pacts, yes. No single aggressive faction would risk war with that many opponents. Not even for water. The cost would be too high. Then we move forward with this plan, President Nam decided. Captain Kim, you'll return to the Galactic Council with our proposal. Dr. Park and Mr. Yoon will accompany you. You have authorization to negotiate on Earth's behalf. What about the fleets already heading toward us? Daeyeon asked. According to our sensors, They'll arrive in about 40 hours, Admiral Lee said. You'll need to work very fast. The Horizon's Edge made the return journey to the Council Station in record time. Daeyeon barely had time to review the negotiation strategy with Minyi and Sunho before they were back in the massive crystalline chamber. This time, the atmosphere was different. The chamber was packed. Every seat was filled, and more beings floated in the air or stood in the aisles. News of Earth's water had spread across the galaxy. Everyone wanted to see what would happen next. Ambassador Vel called the session to order. Captain Kim has requested to address the council. The floor is yours, Captain. Daeyeon stepped forward, very aware of the thousands of eyes on him. Representatives of the Galactic Council, I come before you with a proposal from the people of Earth. We understand that our planet possesses a resource of incredible value. We also understand that many of you need this resource desperately. He paused, looking around the chamber. Earth is willing to share our water, but we will do so on our terms, with dignity and mutual respect. A murmur ran through the crowd. Councillor Reith's voice cut through it. You're in no position to dictate terms, human, aren't we? Sunho stepped forward, his voice clear and strong. 3 fleets are approaching Earth as we speak. The Core Dominion, the Silicate Consortium, and the Theta Collective. If any one of them takes Earth by force, what happens? A war breaks out as the others try to seize it. Earth's water becomes contaminated by weapons fire. Everyone loses. Or, Minji continued, Earth remains free and begins regular water shipments to any civilization that wants them. Everyone wins. Ambassador Vel leaned forward. What exactly are you proposing? Daeyeon outlined the plan. Earth will export 1 million liters of water per year. This will be divided among any civilization that signs a mutual defense treaty with Earth. In exchange for water rights, you protect Earth from military aggression. 1 million liters? A counselor from the Silicate Consortium stood. Divided among how many civilizations? As many as want to participate, Daeyeon said. We estimate at least 50 civilizations would be interested. That's 20,000 liters each annually. The chamber erupted into debate. Some called the offer generous. Others called it insulting. The representative from the Core Dominion, a massive being covered in armor plating, slammed his fist on his chair. The Core Dominion demands exclusive water rights, he bellowed. We will not share this resource with weaker species. Then the Core Dominion will receive no water at all. President Nam's voice came through the chamber's communication system. He had insisted on being present via hologram for the negotiations. Earth will not be owned by any single faction. You would risk war? The Core representative snarled. We're already facing war, Daeyeon said calmly. Your fleet is already on its way? But ask yourself this. If you attack Earth, will the Silicate Consortium sit back and let you take the water? Will the Theta Collective? Will the 200 other civilizations that want access? The boy makes a good point, said a voice from the upper levels. A being of pure energy flickered into existence. I am speaker for the Silicate Consortium. We have no interest in war, but we will not allow the Core to monopolize this resource. Earth's proposal is acceptable to us. More voices joined in. Representatives from dozens of civilizations began declaring their interest in Earth's Protection Pact. The Core representative looked around, clearly realizing that he was being outnumbered. This is not over, he said darkly, and vanished from the chamber. Ambassador Vel raised an appendage for silence. The Council will vote on Earth's proposal. All in favor of accepting Earth's mutual defense offer? The vote was overwhelming. 312 civilizations voted in favor. Only 5 voted against, all of them allied with the Core Dominion. The measure passes, Vel announced. Earth is now under the protection of the Galactic Council. Any military action against Earth will be considered an act of war against all signatory members. Daeyeon felt relief wash over him. They had done it. Earth was safe, but Vel's next words chilled him. However, I must warn you, Captain Kim, the Core Dominion does not recognize Council authority. Their fleet will not turn back simply because of a vote. They are still coming, and they will arrive at Earth in less than 1 day. Then what do we do? Sun Ho asked. Vel's lights dimmed, a sign of concern. There is one option. The Ancient Accords. If we can wake the Ancients, they have the power to enforce galactic law. But no one has heard from them in 3,000 years. How do we wake them? Minji asked. I have the beacon, Vel said, but I don't know if they will answer. And even if they do, they may not arrive in time. Daeyeon looked at Minji and Sunho. They had bought Earth some time and some allies. But the real battle was still coming. And everything depended on ancient beings that might not even exist anymore. Activate the beacon, Daeyeon said. It's our only chance. Ambassador Vel nodded slowly. Then let us hope the ancients still care about the younger races. Because if they don't answer, Earth will burn. And all the water in your oceans won't be enough to put out that fire. The alarm on the horizon's edge started screaming at exactly 0400 hours. Daeyeon jerked awake in his quarters and ran to the bridge, still pulling on his uniform jacket. Hyunwoo was already there, staring at the tactical display with wide eyes. 3 core warships just entered Earth's solar system, Hyunwoo reported. They're big, Captain. Each one is the size of a small moon. Daeyeon looked at the screen. The core vessels were massive, dark shapes that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. They were moving steadily toward Earth, which hung in space like a fragile blue marble. Have they responded to our hails? Daeyeon asked. No, sir. They're not communicating at all. They're just advancing. Minji arrived on the bridge moments later, followed by Sunho. What's our status? She asked. Not good, Daeyeon admitted. The core fleet is here, and Ambassador Vel's beacon hasn't been answered. The ancients haven't shown up. How long until the core reach Earth? Sunho asked quietly. Hyunwoo checked his console. At their current speed, about 6 hours. 6 hours. Daeyeon thought about Earth below them. 7 billion people going about their lives, most of them unaware that alien warships were approaching. President Nam had decided not to cause mass panic with an announcement. Maybe that had been the right choice. What could anyone do anyway? Sir, we're receiving a transmission from Earth, Hyunwoo said. It's Admiral Lee. The Admiral's face appeared on the screen. She looked tired but determined. Captain Kim, I'm ordering the entire fleet to form a defensive line between the core and Earth. I know we can't win, but we're not going down without a fight. Admiral, that's suicide, Daeyeon protested. Perhaps, but it's our duty. Every minute we delay them is another minute for help to arrive. She paused. Captain, thank you for trying to save us. You did everything you could. The transmission ended. Daeyeon watched helplessly as Earth's small fleet of 37 ships moved into position. They looked like toys compared to the core vessels. There has to be something we can do, Minji said desperately. Captain. Hyunwoo's voice was urgent. Something's happening. Energy readings off the scale. Something's appearing. Space itself seemed to tear open. A point of light appeared between Earth and the core fleet, growing rapidly. Within seconds, it had become a structure so massive that it dwarfed even the core warships. It wasn't a ship exactly. It looked more like architecture, like someone had built a cathedral in space using materials that shouldn't exist. The structure seemed to shift and change as Daeyeon looked at it, never quite settling into one form. What is that? Sunho whispered. Before anyone could answer, a presence filled Daeyeon's mind. It wasn't like Ambassador Vel's telepathy, which felt like words being placed in his thoughts. This was different. This felt like something ancient and vast was looking directly into his soul. "I am the Keeper," a voice said, and Dayon realized it wasn't speaking to just him. Every being on every ship in the solar system was hearing these words. Every person on Earth was hearing them. "I am the last of the ancients, guardian of the old laws." The core warships had stopped moving. On the tactical display, Dayon could see them trying to retreat, but they weren't moving. It was as if space itself had frozen them in place. "The beacon has been activated," the Keeper continued. "A Genesis site has been threatened. This cannot be permitted." The massive structure moved, flowing through space like water, despite its enormous size. It positioned itself directly between Earth and the core fleet. "Genesis sites are sacred," the Keeper explained, and now images appeared in Dayon's mind. He saw planets covered in water, teeming with life. Throughout galactic history, only 7 worlds have developed the unique conditions necessary for water to exist in abundance. These are the places where the universe experiments with life, where new forms of existence emerge. 6 of these worlds were destroyed in wars over resources. The images showed devastation. Planets torn apart, oceans boiling away into space, civilizations collapsing. "Earth is the last Genesis site in this galaxy," the Keeper said. "Under the ancient accords, it is protected. No species may take it by force. No military action may be conducted against it. It belongs to all or to none." Representative Krell from the Core Dominion's voice crackled across all communication channels. "We do not recognize your authority, Ancient. The Core Dominion bows to no one. We will take what we need." "That would be unwise," the Keeper replied calmly. "We have weapons that can destroy planets." Krell shouted, "What can you do against the might of the Core?" "I can show you what happens when arrogance meets reality," the Keeper said. One of the core warships fired. A beam of pure energy, bright enough to blind anyone looking directly at it, lanced toward Earth. Dayon's heart stopped. That beam could crack the planet in half, but it never reached Earth. The Keeper's structure seemed to flicker, and the beam simply stopped. It hung in space, frozen like someone had paused a video. "Your weapon is impressive," the Keeper said, "but technology is young. I am old. I was ancient when your species first discovered fire." The frozen beam began to move backward, retracing its path. It returned to the core warship that had fired it and pushed into the ship's hull, not violently, but gently, like someone pressing a finger against soft clay. The massive warship began to fold in on itself, compressing until it was the size of a small car. Then it simply vanished. "I have sent that ship and its crew to a place where they can reflect on their choices," the Keeper said. "They are alive and will remain so, but they will not return for 10,000 years. Does anyone else wish to test my patience?" The other 2 core ships immediately began broadcasting surrender signals. "Good," the Keeper said. "I will now address the humans." Dayon felt the Keeper's attention focus on him, on Minji, on Songno, and on everyone aboard their ship. It felt like being examined under a microscope, except the microscope could see not just his body, but his thoughts, his memories, his very soul. "Humans of Earth," the Keeper said, "you have 2 choices before you. First choice, I can isolate your planet completely. No one will be able to reach you. You will be safe, but you will also be alone, cut off from the galactic community until your species is advanced enough to defend itself. This may take 10,000 years or more." Dayon's stomach dropped. 10,000 years of isolation? Humanity would miss the entire galactic age, trapped on their own world. "Second choice," the Keeper continued. "You can choose to engage with the galaxy. You can share your water under the terms you have proposed. But understand this. Once that choice is made, you cannot unmake it. You will be responsible for managing the most valuable resource in the galaxy. You will face greed, desperation, and danger. Some will try to trick you. Others will try to manipulate you. A few will even try to help you, but their help may come with prices you don't want to pay. How do we choose? President Nam's voice came through, transmitted from Earth. Dayan was impressed that the president sounded so calm. You already know the answer, the keeper said. I can see it in your thoughts, in your history. Humanity has always struggled with the question of what to do with resources that others need. Sometimes you have hoarded them. Sometimes you have shared. Sometimes you have weaponized them. But I see something else in your species. I see that you understand scarcity because you have lived through it. Images flashed through Dayan's mind. Droughts on Earth, people struggling for clean water. Wars fought over access to rivers and lakes. Humanity's own difficult relationship with water. You know what it means to be thirsty, the keeper said. You know what it means to watch someone die because they lack something you have in abundance. This knowledge makes you uniquely qualified to be the guardians of water. What if we choose wrong? Minji asked. What if we share the water and something terrible happens? Then you will learn, the keeper replied. Genesis sites exist because the universe needs places where life can make mistakes and grow from them. Perfection is not required, only the willingness to try. Sunho stepped forward. We choose to share, he said. Humanity doesn't want to be isolated. We want to be part of the galaxy, even if it's dangerous. Are you certain? The keeper asked. This decision will change your species forever. Dayan looked at Minji. She nodded. He looked at the screen showing Earth, that beautiful blue planet. He thought about the billions of people down there, about their potential to do good in the galaxy. We're certain, Dayan said. We choose to share. Then it is done, the keeper said. Earth will remain a free world. The water will be yours to manage as you see fit. I will remain in this system for 1 Earth year to ensure the transition is peaceful. After that, you will be on your own. Thank you, President Nam said from Earth. Do not thank me yet, the keeper warned. You have chosen the difficult path. The coming years will test your species in ways you cannot imagine. But I have seen something in humanity that gives me hope. You do not take water for granted because you know what it's like to need it. Perhaps that wisdom will be enough. The keeper's presence began to fade from Dayan's mind. I will be watching, humans. Try not to disappoint me. The massive structure remained in space, a silent guardian. The core fleet retreated, their ships limping away. Earth's small vessels held their position, ready to defend their home if needed. Dayan collapsed into his chair, suddenly exhausted. They had done it. Earth was safe. But the keeper's words echoed in his mind. The hard part was just beginning. Now they had to prove that humanity deserved to be the guardians of the galaxy's most precious resource. Captain, Hyunwoo said quietly, we're receiving hundreds of transmission requests. Every civilization in the galaxy wants to talk to us now. Dayan smiled tiredly. Then I guess we'd better start talking. We've got water to share and a galaxy to meet. 5 years had passed since the keeper arrived in Earth's solar system. Dayan stood on the observation deck of the new Galactic Water Academy, watching ships from a dozen different civilizations arrive and depart. The Academy floated in orbit around Earth, a massive structure built with both human and alien technology. It was beautiful in its own way, all flowing curves and transparent walls that gave students perfect views of the blue planet below. Still amazes you, doesn't it? Minji's voice came from behind him. She walked up to stand beside him, carrying 2 cups of tea. She handed one to Dayan. Every day, he admitted, taking the cup gratefully. 5 years ago, we were alone in the universe. Now look at us. Through the window, they could see dozens of alien students walking through the Academy's gardens. Some floated, some walked, some moved in ways that defied easy description. But they all had one thing in common. They were here to learn about water. "How's your class doing?" Dayan asked. Minji smiled. "Better than expected. I'm teaching non-water-based life forms about water-based biology. It's like trying to explain color to someone who's never seen. But they're eager to learn." She paused. "We had a breakthrough yesterday. One of my students, a methane-based being from the outer rim, figured out how to use water as a catalyst in their industrial processes. It's going to revolutionize their manufacturing." "That's the whole point, isn't it?" Dayan said. "We're not just giving them water. We're teaching them how to use it sustainably." Down on Earth, things had changed dramatically. The first year after the Keeper's arrival had been chaotic. Humans had struggled to understand their new role in the galaxy. There had been protests from people who didn't want to share Earth's water. There had been others who wanted to sell it all immediately for advanced technology. Finding the balance had been difficult, but slowly humanity had figured it out. President Nam had established the Water Management Council, with representatives from every nation on Earth. They worked with the Galactic Council to distribute water fairly. Every civilization that had signed the Mutual Defense Treaty received their allotted share. 20,000 liters per year. It didn't sound like much to humans, but to the aliens, it was everything. Dayan had seen the reports. Water from Earth had already saved 3 dying civilizations. It had enabled medical breakthroughs on a dozen worlds. Scientists were discovering new uses for it every day. "Captain Kim?" A young voice called out. Dayan turned to see Borahan, a 10-year-old girl who lived on the Academy with her parents. Her father was a human engineer, helping to maintain the station. Her mother worked in the water processing facility below. "Hello, Bora," Dayan said warmly. "What brings you up here?" "There's a visitor from the Silicate Consortium," Bora said. "They asked to see you specifically. They're in the greeting hall." Dayan exchanged a glance with Minji. "I'll come with you," she said. They found the visitor waiting in the greeting hall, a space designed to accommodate beings of all types. The silicate representative was a collection of silver particles that constantly shifted and flowed. It formed itself into a roughly humanoid shape when they entered. "Captain Kim," the being said, its voice like wind chimes. "I am Envoy Saren. I bring a request from my people. How can we help?" Dayan asked. "We wish to establish a sister academy on one of our worlds," Saren explained. "We want to teach our people not just how to use water, but how to respect it as you do. We've observed that humans have a unique relationship with this substance. You understand both its value and its abundance. We wish to learn this balance." Dayan felt a surge of pride. "We'd be honored to help. Dr. Park here runs our xenobiology program. She could work with your scientists to develop a curriculum." "There's something else," Saren continued. "We believe we may have found another Genesis site, a planet in the outer territories. Our sensors detected what might be water vapor in its atmosphere. We wanted to inform you before we investigated further." Dayan's heart raced. "Another water world? The Keeper should know about this immediately." "I have already been informed," a familiar voice echoed through the hall. Everyone turned to see a smaller version of the Keeper's structure materialize in the center of the room. Over the past 5 years, the Keeper had become less intimidating, often appearing in more manageable forms to interact with humans and other species. "Is it true?" Minji asked. "Another Genesis site?" "Possibly," the Keeper said. "I will investigate. If it is genuine, this would be extraordinary news. But it also presents a question." The Keeper turned its attention to Dayan. "If another water world exists, What should be done with it? Should it be protected and left alone? Should it be developed? Should its resources be shared as Earth's are? That's not for us to decide alone, Dayon said. That's a question for the Galactic Council. A wise answer, the Keeper said. You have learned much, Captain Kim. When I first arrived, I wondered if humanity was ready for the responsibility I was giving you. Now I know you are. We've made mistakes, Dayon admitted. There was that incident last year where a human corporation tried to sell water on the black market. And you dealt with it, the Keeper replied. You arrested those responsible and strengthened your regulations. Mistakes are how species learn. What matters is how you respond to them. Later that day, Dayan attended a ceremony in the Academy's main auditorium. Sunho had organized it, as he organized most things these days. He had become one of Earth's chief ambassadors, traveling between worlds to negotiate and mediate disputes. The auditorium was packed with students and visitors from across the galaxy. On the stage, Elder Sung Jae-oh sat at a small table with a traditional Korean tea set in front of him. He was 93 years old, and his hands shook slightly as he prepared the tea. But his movements were still graceful and deliberate. Beside him sat a student from a silicon-based civilization, a being that looked like animated crystal. The student watched intently as Elder O heated the water, added the tea leaves, and poured with careful precision. The tea ceremony is about more than just making tea. Elder O explained, his words translated for the alien audience. It's about mindfulness. It's about appreciating each moment. When you heat the water, you don't rush it. When you pour the tea, you pay attention to the sound, the steam, the color. You honor the water by treating it with respect. He poured a cup and offered it to his crystalline student. The being couldn't drink it, of course, but it held the cup carefully, feeling the warmth radiating from it. This is what Earth can teach the galaxy, Elder O continued. Not just how to use water, but how to appreciate it. On Earth, we have a saying, water is the source of life. We understand this not because water is rare for us, but because we have seen what happens when it's gone. We have known drought. We have known thirst. This memory makes us humble. The audience sat in complete silence, absorbing his words. Daeun saw several aliens recording the ceremony, no doubt to share with their home worlds. After the ceremony, Daeun found Ji-won in her laboratory. She was working with a team of alien scientists, analyzing samples of Earth's ocean water. We've made another discovery, Ji-won said excitedly when she saw him. Water has properties we never fully understood. It's not just H2O. Each molecule carries information, almost like a memory. We're just beginning to understand the implications. What kind of implications? Daein asked. Water might be conscious, Ji-won said. Not in the way we think of consciousness, but aware somehow. Scholar Tyne has a theory that water chooses where to exist in abundance. It avoided most of the galaxy because the conditions weren't right. But it found Earth and decided to stay because humanity treats it well. That sounds like mysticism, not science, Daeun said skeptically. 5 years ago, I would have agreed with you, Ji-won replied. But I've seen things I can't explain with conventional science. Water behaves differently on Earth than in laboratory settings. It's more stable, more pure, as if it's happy here. Daeun thought about the Keeper's words from years ago. Water as the universe's experiment. Maybe Ji-won was right. Maybe water was more than just a chemical compound. That evening, Daeun received a call from President Nam. The president was older now, his hair completely white. But he still worked tirelessly for Earth's future. Captain Kim, the president said, I wanted you to be the first to know. The Galactic Council has officially named Earth as the wellspring. We're now recognized as the center of water research and education in the galaxy. This is largely thanks to your efforts. I had a lot of help, Dayon said modestly. You did, the president agreed. But you were the one who stood before the council 5 years ago and took the first risk. You trusted that the galaxy would respond with cooperation rather than war. You were right. Not everyone cooperated, Dayon pointed out. We still have problems with water theft and illegal trade. True, but those are manageable problems. 5 years ago, we faced extinction. Today, we face bureaucracy and logistics. I'll take those challenges any day. The president paused. There's something else. The keeper wants to speak with you privately. It's waiting in your quarters. Dayon found the keeper in a small, simple form, barely larger than a human. It was looking at a glass of water sitting on Dayon's desk. Hello, keeper, Dayon said. Hello, Captain Kim, or should I say Director Kim. I understand you've been promoted to head the entire academy. The title doesn't matter much, Dayon said, sitting down. What matters is the work, indeed. The keeper picked up the glass of water, holding it carefully. Do you know what I see when I look at this? Water? Dayon guessed. I see hope, the keeper said. For 3,000 years, I have been alone. I watched the last of my kind fade away. I watched civilizations rise and fall. I watched resources wars destroy beautiful worlds. I had almost given up on the younger races. The keeper set the glass down. Then I heard the beacon. I learned about Earth. I saw a species that had everything their neighbors desperately needed, and instead of hoarding it or weaponizing it, they chose to share. Not perfectly, not without mistakes, but sincerely. We're still learning, Dayon said, as you should be. But you've learned the most important lesson. That abundance comes with responsibility. You could have drowned in your wealth, but instead, you've used it to lift others up. The keeper's form shifted, becoming more transparent. I came here 5 years ago, planning to stay for 1 year. But I've decided to remain longer. Earth needs a guardian, and you need a teacher. There is much I can show you about the universe. We'd be grateful. Dayon said sincerely. The keeper moved toward the window, looking down at Earth. That planet contains more than just water, Captain Kim. It contains the future. As long as Earth remains free and generous, as long as humanity remembers what it's like to need what others have, your species will guide the galaxy toward something better. That's a heavy responsibility, Dayon said. Yes, the keeper agreed. But you've already proven you can carry it. From the window, Dayon could see Earth rotating slowly, its blue oceans gleaming in the sunlight. Somewhere down there, rain was falling. Rivers were flowing. Children were splashing in lakes without thinking about how precious that moment was. And that was exactly how it should be. Water had brought humanity to the stars. But more importantly, it had taught them that the greatest power in the universe wasn't technology or weapons. It was the choice to share what you have with those who need it. That simple lesson had transformed Earth from an isolated world into a beacon of hope for the entire galaxy. And as Dayon watched ships arrive and depart, carrying precious cargo of water to distant worlds, he knew that humanity had finally found its place among the stars, not as conquerors or merchants, but as teachers and guardians of the galaxy's most precious gift. The journey had only just begun.